Hello everyone, my name is Imu and I'm ReacttotheK's channel creator.
Hello, this is Isaac from ReacttotheK, and we'll be reacting to GFRIEND today.
So I've seen all your comments and sorry for getting to this late. Sometimes it takes a while for me to contact a reactor to react with me and for us to find the same time that we are both available to film our reaction, but we have finally gotten to it. So when I think of Apple, the title Apple, I think of either Snow White or the Garden of Eden, right? But just from the opening shot of the music video, maybe Garden of Eden concept-ish. So, which is interesting because Song of Sirens is the name of the album. So perhaps Temptation is the concept of the song. But anyways, lyrics are on. English lyrics are on.
So starting with reaction right now. It's actually been a while since I watched any GFRIEND. So we'll see how this goes.
Is this going to be the chord progression of the song? Oh. Ooh. Ooh! Word comment meter!
So we've got edgier approach to the sound.
Ooh, that was an interesting transition sound. Yeah, the swing triplet makes the song so much more sexy.
Some nice little bit of a modal mixture.
We took away this triplet subdivisions and we're floating. Just do both. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, this is nice. Woo! Oh, that leap in range though. Nice catchy postcards with kiss, kiss. Oh, that's taken out.
Very different in atmosphere compared to the previous songs that I used to listen to.
Ooh, I like the synth that goes. It's providing us motion forward.
I like how their voices are distinctive from one another. It also comes with audio editing.
The bass part is so good. The gentle singing and harmonies are so good. And then we have like the lower percussion boo 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 transition to the Baker sound when we have these subdivisions back. So much reverb.
Some sustained pedals.
Bass is back in.
The butterfly motif.
Satisfying high note. Let go the timid child. Witching hour. Wow.
Some slight dissonance slapped in there, here and there.
The melody is almost siren-esque. Woo! You go, girls! Woo! Oh! Okay.
I guess it's a fantasy-like music with their older songs. Not really older songs, but their past songs. But this one seems to carry on that same motif, but more on the darker side. It's actually quite interesting to be able to maneuver from such an innocent purity to a more edgier. Well, you're introducing more darker themes. So yeah, it's interesting how they have so many slight moments where you have dissonances thrown in here and there. Some modal mixture to highlight the exoticism of certain passages. Other than that, there wasn't too much variety.
Dance the fiery dance, starlight shines on me. Translucent glass beads glowing red. Wow. Don't look back. Don't let yourself worry. Yeah, just to go out and do stuff. Don't let things limit you. In sweet darkness, the witching hour descends. It's haunting, it's beautiful, it's catchy. I think my favorite thing about this track is the soundscape. The gentleness of the synths, and then we have some more punchy percussion that we use to transition between sections. Okay, time for Zoom discussion time with Isaac. Hello? Do you want to go back in like a little bit? And just re-listen to some stuff? Because I also, like, while we're on Zoom, we can, like, go through a tiny bit.
I'm okay. It's just, I think I was more confused as what I just listened to.
What were you confused about?
I think it was just the general atmosphere of GFRIEND.
Yeah, it's completely different, right? Modal mixture, huh?
A lot of it. I don't know. I feel like it's just for show and not it doesn't really. I think that's the criticism I would take off on.
The modal mixture is for show?
It doesn't really add to the whole.
Really?
I personally don't think, because like I think near the end you hear like a really strong dissonance. Da da dee da 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 dee da with the underlying bass. That would make sense, but then the other one was just more like it sounded like a weird flex.
The reason why I liked it is because the modal mixture made us feel like we were kind of going through different worlds of darkness versus lightness. So, because throughout, it truly felt like a magical, fairy, maybe mystical world because of the reverb, the sound of the synths, and because of the modal mixture. So I did enjoy that use of the switching to major and a minor key.
I wouldn't say that it's not enjoyable. I think I was a bit confused by myself because it's just listening to their other tracks, the way they create a fantasy. They would use it, but it's not so much like this one. I think it was different. It was different from their previous tracks, so I think I was a bit confused there.
That was just like a bit like, woo! Soundscape change shock.
I think there's also the shock that, I guess the appearance. I think it's just the darker makeup. Darker makeup. And I was just like the really dark plots. Okay, at the very end, it's like, well, you don't really see that.
Well, no, Time for the Moon Night, that was dark. Didn't one of them disappear? And also, Fingertip, Unhan falls off a building, boy!
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like, those are subtle, but this one's like, well, very
the
very
aesthetics
explicit.
are more dark, while their past songs' storylines were dark.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not saying it's like they never touch dark topics, but I think there's just presentation of it visually. That was one thing that shocked me, because that's part of the experience of looking at K-pop. I thought it was interesting how they're taking this turn.
But remember their most recent summer song, After Sunny Summer?
If I remember.
Wait.
I don't think I've ever listened to that one.
You should take a listen, because that was also an extreme change. Is it Fever?
Which one is this?
Like, I felt this was also quite the sound change.
Is that Crossroads?
No, this one is Fever. So it was Fever. They released Fever, then they released Crossroads, and then they released this.
Okay. I guess it's because of the way they mix it. You could still hear their voices. I was mentioning it in the reaction. It's just I like the way whoever's mixing it, they actually gave them the actually the frequency spotlight. So nothing's like watering it down or taking away or detracting or adding too much. So you can actually hear each one of their voices very distinctly. But then later it's kind of just washes away. I'm not really
Reverb.
sure.
It's like the amount of reverb and the amount of harmony.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of voices, which just melded with also the reverb on the instrumentals.
Yeah.
So it became one long, beautiful blanket of sound. So it's something that I think we appreciate different aspects of GFRIEND's music, or like different aspects in music, because I can understand why you prefer to have their voice clean and you can hear their timbre well, right? Versus it mashing completely with the instrumentals and being blended into that.
And it depends on what you're going into, because I think going into it, I haven't listened to them, the group members, for a long time. I'm not necessarily thinking like, oh, the producer who made the song or the composer who wrote the song out and compiled everything. So I guess it really depends on how you go into it, because I was thinking I want to listen to their voices. And I think it was just, it started mending with the sound, which is nice. Well, it takes a lot of skill to do that, but one thing with the mindset that I have was going in was like I couldn't really hear that, so I was a bit confused.
That makes sense.
When going in. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts? Do you like have a favorite moment of the track?
I think it was just the dissonant part in the chorus
At the
line.
very end, or just all courses?
I think particularly the end, because I think it was just, it creates having some dissonance. It always in history, the way they used it in music is just to create an alarm, in a sense. Sometimes you're kind of going through life, nothing really happens to you. You're in the middle of nowhere, and nothing happens to you, right? And then all of a sudden you have like something tragic happens, like an earthquake, and somehow it hits your town. Everything's destroyed. And I think there's that similar motif with dissonance, because dissonance, you're so used to their sound, you're so used to the wave or atmosphere that's being created, but then all of a sudden you slap in some dissonance. I think that really took me out. Like, oh, like I'm listening to the song.
And then they grew horns.
They grew
So that dissonance was hinting at something.
Yeah. So I think it was interesting how they played on that dissonance, because you listen to the mono mixture, kind of hints at it, but it's not as strong as having that 6 semitones separate apart. Just like that tension.
Yeah.
And yeah, they used it quite well, I would say.
Yeah, I totally second you on that. And then also I love the transitions, because so much we had this constant driving, moving
oscillating,
fluid, right? Movement forward. And then when we had the transitions, we had you know, like some of these completely different soundscape that like provided last minute change of feel before we moved on to a different section. And at one part it sounded like, you know, those percussion instruments with the ridges, and then you run a stick across it and it goes like we used that in this track. That was awesome. I love like the little percussion sounds used transition and like just sprinkled throughout, and I felt it was really nice. And I just like compound meter songs.
There's something about compound meters just make it so much more interesting, because you could count like in whatever groupings you feel at the moment. Yeah.
Right?
It's if it's 4, it's like, okay, there's no argument. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or if it's a bit faster, it's like 2. Okay. But with compounds, like, well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You know, there's so many ways. Yeah, it's so many different ways to feel it.
But if you mention like that, it does add to the fantasy aspect, because you get to choose. Well, you have more options to choose. Maybe you're just fixated with whatever compound meter they put into the track, but maybe you stop listening for a second, maybe you come back to it and you're like, oh, maybe I feel it like this, a little bit different. So it's pretty interesting how they actually, the way they compose it at the beginning really sets it up on how you should, well, not how you should, but more like how it is portrayed and how you perceive it.
Yeah, that was nice. Thank you so much for our buddies tuning into our reaction. Once again, sorry that we got to this a bit late, but I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye!